Announced late this afternoon the strength of the tornado that hit Moore, Oklahoma. Yesterday is actually an EF5, which is the strongest on the enhanced Fujita scale. Now, here are more new details. Officials say the search for survivors and victims is almost finished, which is good news considering.
It is. Now, they say no one has been found dead or alive since last night. The death toll has actually dropped to 24. At least 9 of them, though, still called victims are children in this instance.
Yeah, hospital workers say they've treated more than 200 patients. Of that number, roughly 70 are children. Some have already been treated and released, though. The
president today signed a disaster declaration, officials announcing that 2 of the schools that were hit were not funded for safe rooms in case of emergency.
And when you have limited number of funds, then you set priorities on which schools that you do want to ask for. So it's not a matter of they were being left out for any reason. It was a matter they hadn't been brought forward yet.
All right, so we also now know the path of the tornado was about 17 miles long. The National Weather Service says it stayed on the ground for about 40 minutes. That is a long time for a tornado.
That is. And you've seen the devastation of flattened homes, leveled neighborhoods. Many people want to help however they can and really don't know. It's the crunch time for agencies like the American Red Cross, the United Way, and the Salvation Army.
Yeah, and we already know that people have asked about the donations, so we did some digging to see where all the money really goes. This is important if you're going to spend your money.
Yeah, we know that Ben Powell went out to investigate, but what he found may surprise you.
Images like this are hard to watch. The tragic disaster in Oklahoma has claimed dozens of lives already, and the death toll is still climbing. In times like this, people from all over the country want to help.
American Red Cross, this is Evan.
Folks at the American Red Cross in Wilmington have been busy, receiving several calls from people who want to donate to the cause.
There has been a great loss of life, and there is great need to support those folks that are affected in Oklahoma.
Right now, personal items like clothing, shoes, and canned goods are not being accepted.
It takes a lot of time, resource, and money to sort and match those individual contributions with folks that need goods. So the best thing to do is make a financial contribution.
But how can you be sure that those contributions are going to the right place? The American Red Cross gives 91% of their donations to victims, keeping the other 9% for administration fees. Meanwhile, the United Way and the Salvation Army tell us they give 100% of their donations directly to the victims in need. No administration fees. Regardless of the stats, Vicki LaBelle from the American Red Cross says it's important for people in our area to think of others in this time of need.
The Cape Fear area is very generous during times of disaster. Of course, we have been recipients of aid from other parts of the country when we've been affected by tornadoes and hurricanes here in our area, and I think folks here are generally willing to give right away and help their neighbors in need across the country.
Reporting in Wilmington, Ben Powell, Fox Wilmington News at 6:30.
Okay, and there are several ways you can donate to the survivors of the Oklahoma tornado disaster. To do your part, just click on this story on our homepage, foxwilmington.com.
Now let's go over to First Alert meteorologist Eric Davis. Other parts of the country now bracing for the threat of severe weather, but I heard you earlier saying not as strong as it was yesterday, right?
Yeah, it looks like the storms aren't rotating like they did yesterday. There's one active tornado warning in the country. It's actually in the state of New York, believe it or not, where there's no tornado watch in effect. There's a severe thunderstorm watch for much of New York, but no tornado watch. The tornado watch box is right now basically stretching from western Tennessee, northern Mississippi, back into Texas. But it looks like we're seeing, instead of supercell thunderstorms, we're seeing lines of thunderstorms. These storms typically don't produce tornadoes, but they do produce damaging winds, localized heavy rain. Not to say that there couldn't be tornado warnings tonight, but it certainly looks like the situation is not quite as grave as what we saw last night around Moore, Oklahoma. Now, as we take a look at the next 12 hours, temperatures will be slowly dropping into the upper 60s overnight tonight. A southerly wind around 5 to 10 miles per hour. Still a threat of a few isolated storms around here, but our primary threat will be localized heavy rain. Tomorrow, lower thunderstorm chance, but it ramps up again on Thursday ahead of the front. Very warm temperatures through the rest of the week, but as we head into the weekend, cooler, less humid, and lots of sunshine for the holiday weekend. I'll have that complete First Alert forecast coming up in a few moments.